Yeah, hi everyone, welcome to Emsley Lodge for another week. Runners through the week were Young Hostess. She was really good. She loomed up to sort of win the race, but the winner was just too good for us, and she ran a really good, strong second. So she might just go a little bit of time between runs now, and as I alluded to before, she'll probably head off to that synthetic sort of series, and that's sort of later on in this month and then early into August. So I don't really want to overtax her now, so she'll probably have 3 weeks between runs and then run in the heat of that and then probably head off to the final. She ran second in that final last year, so it's a really good prize money race, so it's certainly something worthwhile targeting, and she's a horse that really does handle the synthetic. Okay, now runners this week, busy week. Today I'll head off down to Bendigo today. Young Giro runs first up. Now, he had a big injury to his foot, that horse, and he's had a lot of love and care sort of getting back to the races, and he's ready to go. So he'll have his first up run today at Bendigo. Look, at the end of the day, I think he's probably going to be a bit sus for fitness. He's had a year off sort of thing, and he's only really had the 2 trials, so I expect him to sort of really sort of feel it late, but he's just one of those horses. He'll run through a brick wall for you, you know. He's sort of so hard and tough. So the main thing we're looking for is he puts a really good run under his belt, then trains on, and probably in about 3 weeks' time, probably third up, I would say he'd be spot on. So he's just probably going to take a couple of runs to get his peak fitness. He is a horse that does hold up for big, long preparation. So, we're going to go into today probably about 85-90% fit and with plenty of up his sleeve. But he'll go well, only because I know the horse, he just tries so hard. Okay, tomorrow at Geelong, I'm going to have quite a few runners here. Interesting to see how they go. Fortune Rose has been going great. She's been really competitive in everything we run her in. She's just drawn the car park again tomorrow, but back to fillies grade probably suits her. Benchmark 64, fillies and mares 1100. That's 100% her grade, so she'll go really well. She's just drawn a really sticky gait, but she'll bowl and roll forward and sit sort of in the first 2 or 3 and give herself every chance. In the same race, I've got a little mare called Grable. Now, she won first up last time in, really good, then second up, pulled up sore in her hind quarter, had a long spell, come back in. I thought her trial was fair the other day. I would have liked to have seen her hit the line a bit harder, so I'm taking her to the races morely just to see how she's going. Her track work's good, but I thought her trial was only plain, so it's going to be in the same race as Fortune Rose. So Fortune Rose will probably bowl out and set a really good tempo, and from a good barrier, Grable should be able to just sit off the speed, then hit the line. So more going to see how she's getting to the line more than anything. Plenty of ability, this filly, beautiful filly. I just don't know how well she's going. She just looks a little bit woolly in her coat, but plenty of upside. Got another filly in the same race again called Dwelt. Now, she's right down in this emergency, so I'm not sure if Dwelt will get a run, so we'll probably have to leave her for another week. Okay, then in the 1300 metre 64, we have 2 horses in 2 separate divisions. Grandma Gale was really good the other day, just the winner just absolutely bolted in, but she was pretty competitive with the other horses. Up to the 1300, I think it's 1320 or something at Geelong, and see how she goes there. Her last start at Geelong, she just sort of lost a bit of ground coming down the hill, so hopefully she gets a bit of better footing there and she hits the line really strong. But her first up run was really good at Geelong. Up to the 1300 should suit. Got a little filly called Solar Flash in the other division. Look, I must admit she was pretty disappointing first up. She trialled up pretty good and then went into that first up run and sort of sat right up on the hammer and then was very weak late, so not really sure. Her wet track form is average, so whether it was a wet track, I don't know. So just hoping for a reasonable sort of track, and if it's a slowish sort of track at Geelong, that'll suit her. But I can't fault her. Her track work's good. She looks good. She's nice and sound. She's a little bit of a cross your fingers, hope she goes well, but looking for a significant improvement because I thought her first up run was really poor. In the 1300 metre maiden, the horse called Eye Strike, he's having his first start for us. I don't know, since I've had him, I thought he was probably a 1600 metre horse, and he's had a couple of starts already and has performed really poorly, but they were in 1000 metre and 1100 metre races, so I'm just hoping that we can sort of teach him to sort of sit off the speed and hit the line. In his other starts, he was sort of up handy and then dropped right out of it and was really poor, so hopefully we can just sort of ride him a little bit conservatively, have him hitting the line. He'll be 1,000,000 to 1, and but if he can run home and sort of run midfieldish or a bit better, then maybe go up to a 1600 metres, he should be winning races. He's got a little bit of ability, this horse. He's just very green on it. He doesn't really know what he's doing, and I trialled him the other day and he won his trial okay, but I thought he was a bit soft late, so whether he needed something to chase would have been better, but just more or less he's a bit like Solar Flash, that you sort of take him to the races hoping rather than knowing. Okay, Chuka Saturday. Little filly called Typically Brazen. Now, this horse is going pretty good. I've got her in a couple of spots. I'll accept in both of them. So there's an 1100 metre 3-year-old race up at Echuca. I'll see how. I'll probably accept with her there and see how we go. But she's been placed over this sort of trip before. She seems to be going well. Her gallop this morning was nice and sharp, so she'll go pretty well. Trialled up the other day. I thought she was a little bit soft late in her trial. So hopefully she's come on good from that. A couple of gallops through the week and she'll be around about the mark, but she's going pretty well. Pantera Nera, I brought him back to the 1400. He just went up to the 1600 the other day and jumped out and in a slowly tempo and over raced, and which is terrible. They actually ran 3 seconds slower than the other division. That's how slow they were going, and he was back in the field over racing, and when he does that he's just terrible. So I've dropped him back to the 1400. We'll just let him ride him wherever he lands. If that's handy, if that's back, it doesn't really matter, just so long as he's not over racing and he can get a chance to sort of breathe and relax, and then he'll be hitting the line nice and strong. Monday, head off to Warwicknabeal with a really interesting horse, a horse called Croc Lurkin. A pretty fast horse, this horse. He gallops up, he shows us plenty of toe here at the training track. He just does a lot wrong. He wants to hang in, so I'm going to take him to a track where they're probably going to run him off his legs and he won't have time to hang. He'll be just sort of too busy with trying to keep up with them. But he's got a lot of ability, this horse. I like him. I think he's certainly a horse you probably want to follow. He just does a lot wrong. We have to sort out his steering a little bit. Once he does all that, I think you'll find he'll win plenty of races. But I've deliberately taken him to a track where they'll run him off his legs, and he won't be sort of up on the bridle, because when he does that, he sort of tends to sort of want to go left on us. So, but that's a horse called Croc Lurk, and I'm really keen to sort of see how he goes. Head off to Sandown on Wednesday. Now, Minyinga's going really good. She was great the other day. First up run was good. Second up run was strong. So she'll go third up, 1300 at Sandown. She's won over this track and distance before, so she gets every chance. I'm going to take all the gear off her. What she's doing is she's just sort of coming out of the barriers a little bit negative and then finding her feet and then sort of getting in behind them and over racing a little bit. So I just wanted to bounce and sort of show a little bit more speed early. So I'm not going to take any restriction. I had a crossover noseband and all that sort of stuff on her, but I've galloped her through the week without it, and I thought she worked up really good without it. So she'll go there sort of without any gear on. Hopefully she can bounce and land in the first 2 or 3. If she does that, she'll be right around about the mark on this sort of race. But she seems to be going really well. I'm really happy with her. Filly called If at First. She's ready to race. I'll nominate her for Sandown Wednesday. I'm not sure if I'll take her there. I don't know if Sandown will really suit her, where I might just wait for the Friday and take her down to Sale, where a nice big open track might suit her a little bit better. She won well at Warrnambool on sort of a nice big open track, and I think that's her go, so I might do similar with her, but she seems to be going really well, really happy with her. So it's just a matter of what race I take her to, but I'll nominate her for Sandown on Wednesday as well.
G'day guys, welcome to Around the Stables. This week's a horse called Toffee Nuts. Not sure about the name, but yeah, we'll go with it anyway. He's out of, they call me Bolt, a mare that we used to race. She was City Place, she was a nice fast mare, and he's a half brother to One Penny Red, who we also race and won a couple of races with. He's probably a bit of a different type to them. They were sort of real stocky, sort of small, sort of speedy sort of type. He's a bit more of a rangy sort of, probably a bit better type than those sort of those guys, but he's probably going to stretch out over a little bit more of a trip. I'd imagine he'd be a 12 sort of 1400 metre horse. He's probably a little bit more like his dad, Turok Toff, but yeah, nice sort of big strong animal to have around the place. He's lovely natured. We've trialled him up. He's had, I think, 3 trials now, and he'll have another one at Traralgon next Wednesday, and then we'll look at heading to the races with him. He's sort of just taken a little bit for the penny to drop. We threw the blinkers on him, that improved him, and I think the more racing that he does, the more he'll continue to improve. So yeah, look forward to his final hit out at Traralgon on Wednesday, and then we'll look for a race for him. I'll imagine he'll be that tough sort of 12-1400 metre horse on speed, who'll just sort of outplug him, but yeah, everything's sort of starting to come together for him, and yeah, look forward to getting into the races.
That's it for another week at Emsley Lodge. Thanks for watching. A couple of interesting runners this week, haven't we? A couple of really nice horses going around. I think a couple up at Echuca will go well on Saturday. Geelong will be interesting. Hopefully we get a reasonable sort of surface there. And a couple of those horses will go really well. And even a couple of fillies in town on Wednesday I think will go pretty good too. So all's good. Really looking forward to the week. plenty of miles, but then we'll see how we go. What else we got? Don't forget to subscribe to our video if you don't already. Just click subscribe and the bell if you want a notification. And I think we've got about 280 sort of subscribers, so plenty of people there sort of get our video every week and watch it with interest. That's about it, I think. Might even take a couple of horses down to the trials on Wednesday as well, down to Traralgon Trials. A couple of horses make it count, sort of, he's up and going. I just needs one more trial, and Little Maiden I think's going all right too. So just a couple of horses have a nice trial. Until next week, see you later. Actually, no, I won't say that. Say something else. Don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe to our video and then click the bell. Click the bell. Click the bell. Start again.